So recent Chanel price increases, people are saying they're ridiculous, absurd, crazy, they're shocked. To be honest, I'm not that shocked. Hi, my loves, welcome back. Yes, today's topic has been really highly requested. As you guys know, last week Chanel had another price increase, and a lot of you have been asking me what are my thoughts. I know you've probably seen on YouTube quite a lot of us luxury YouTubers cover this topic. So in this video, yes, I'm going to go through the price increases, but you know me, I'm very detailed. So I want this video to be informative, but I'm also going to tell you the reasons why I'm not shocked. Doesn't mean I'm happy about it. But I have put together a very detailed table covering the price increases over 3 years and in the currencies of USD, AUD, Singapore dollars, pounds, and the euro. So I think that should cover most countries. So it did take a bit of effort putting all of it together. But I also want this video so that, in future, if you were to look back, you know exactly what the prices are. So if you guys are interested in Chanel and you want to hear my thoughts and see the comparison charts, then let's delve right into it. Okay, so I'm very casual. It's quite early in the morning, just working from home. So you are getting a no makeup Mel with my glasses, a bit serious. But, with this serious topic, I do want to give you my honest thoughts. And I'm going to start off with the Chanel Classic Flaps because that range has definitely seen the biggest increase over the last 3 years. So I'm going to put a table up. If you see me sort of referring to my computer, that's because that's where all my notes are. So I'm going to run through the figures quite quickly. Feel free to screenshot the table, share this video with friends, and of course, feel free to chat with each other in the comments below because this is a topic that has angered a lot of people. I can understand that. But yeah, I do think that these price increases, we are kind of to blame too, but I'll go into that a bit later. Anyway, let's start off with the classic range with the small classic flap. So this is my small caramel classic flap. Now, also, don't get me wrong, I do love Chanel. Like, Chanel is one of the first bags I purchased. Luckily, I did purchase a lot of my classic flaps many, many years ago. So for the small classic flap bag, and these prices also relate to the reissue. Now, this is my reissue mini, but the reissue 2.55 small, they don't really make that with the double flap as much recently, but it's this size. The chain is just a bit longer, but it is this size. This is the 224. So for these bags here, the previous price in USD is 8,002. Now it's 9,006. So if you look at the old versus new increase, it looks like the USD had the biggest price increase because that was like a 17% price increase. But that's because the US didn't have the price hikes before that. They kept the price the same. That's why when you look at the old versus new percentage increases, it doesn't look like as much in the other currencies. I'm not going to read everything out. You guys can have a look. I'll just read out sort of USD and AUD, but Singapore, Euro and UK are there as well. So this in Australian dollars used to be 13,600. It is now over 15,000 AUD. So that is huge. This price increase was a big one. But if you look at my table, I do have old versus new, but I also tracked it over the last 12 months. If you look at those percentages, you can see that, in fact, European countries and in the UK, the small classic flap saw increases from 20 to 25%. So yes, it's good to look at old versus new, but in 12 months, this particular size has increased the most out of all the timeless classics. Okay, so moving along to the medium classic flap. This is my medium, which I bought over 10 years ago. And again, the comparison with the reissue, I'm going to call it 225, but this is the reissue equivalent. So in USD, it was 8,800 and now it is 10,200 USD. It was 14,470 AUD and now it is 15,710 Australian dollars. Again, you can see similar price increases in the other currencies as well, and the percentage increases for the medium flap was also very substantial. The old versus new price for the USD being almost 16%. But as you can see from all the other currencies, this ranged from about 10% to 23%. Surprisingly, for all my Singapore over 12 months, you guys had the lowest percentage increase. So that was very interesting for me to have a look at as well. But either way, really big increases. Okay, moving along to the jumbo. This is my jumbo, and this is the equivalent reissue, which we call it the 226, but yeah, they're the same price. All these price increase for both are exactly the same. So USD, the old price used to be 9,500 and now it is 11,000 USD. For AUD, the jumbo retailed at 15,610 Australian dollars, and now it is a whopping $17,010. Honestly, guys, I would not pay $17,000 for this in the boutique. We are talking $17,000. That is actually more than the price of a Birkin 25. I know a lot of people are doing comparisons between Hermes and Chanel now. Chanel was creeping up to Hermes prices. Now this is actually more expensive than a Birkin 25. And it's not even just the price increase, it's also the quality that everyone's been very disappointed about, because the fact that you have to go into a Chanel boutique when you want to buy any bag, like you shouldn't have to ask them, can I have a look at another one? You always have to see whether the flaps are straight, whether the stitching is right. So a lot of people have been really upset about the decline in quality. And that's something that if you've been following Chanel, the quality has definitely decreased over the years. So again, I'm talking a lot, but you know, as we go through, I'm going to be sharing my thoughts. Now, surprisingly for the maxi, I don't own the maxi. The maxi on the Chanel website, it actually didn't show the prices. It has price upon request. So what I've got here is the approximate figures. That's why I've got it highlighted in green. But how I got those figures was I looked at all the data from the past few years, and this is an approximation. I do want to stress approximation of what it would cost you, but it would be very, very similar to what it is. For any of you that do definitely know the price of the maxi, do let me know. I actually tried calling up Chanel customer service, but no one picked up. But anyway, I do know for certain that the maxi used to cost 10,000 USD. In the US, it is 11,500. This is all before tax. And in Australian dollars, the maxi used to be 16,570, and now I've approximated it to be 18,010. I don't know why Chanel put price upon request, because they've always in the past showed the price of the maxi. Not sure why. If you guys know why, let me know as well. But it would be those figures there, it would be very, very close, give or take $50 to $100. Even though you think the maxi is not that desirable and not many people are buying as much maxis, the percentage increase, whether it is the old versus new price or over 12 months, you are still seeing a huge price increase. I mean, one I want to highlight, in the US, over 12 months, it's increased like 30%. And then in the other countries, as you look, it's substantial as well. Again, Singapore, not as much for you guys, which I'm not sure why, but overall, in all the classic flaps, you can see generally the price increases have been higher across Europe and the UK. And we know that Chanel has been doing price harmonization. We also know that the US dollar has been stronger. I'm not surprised at the higher percentage increases, in the UK and Europe. Generally across the board, it looks higher than, for example, Australia and Singapore. Now, I want to show you another table, and this is where I delved into, my archive, because I have sort of been recording Chanel price increases. So in less than 3 years, so my table is from May, June 2020. Actually, there was a really big price increase earlier that year of 2020. So these figures would be even more. So if I took 3 years, these percentages would be even higher. It's just that I didn't have those figures. But with the small classic flap, get this guys, in less than 3 years from May, June 2020 to March 2023, in the US, it saw a 65.5% increase. Australia and Singapore over 50%. And in the Europe and UK, almost 70% increase on the small classic flap. in less than 3 years. So you can see the figures there. You can see how much it was and then how much it is now. So I found that so interesting. Again, for the medium, large, jumbo, maxi, across the board, all of it is like 40 to 70% increases. And actually, if I had had the January 2020 price, it would be, all of them would be like more around 50 to 75% of an increase. And that is why I think people are very, very outraged at these increases, because I was reading an article in the Financial Times, and in 3 years, from brands like Dior and Prada, they saw like an increase. Like, for example, if we take the Lady Dior, that is still increases. We know that brands do price increases and we expect price increases. But I guess with those increases between like more 30 to 35% and not these figures that we're seeing, it is more, what's the word, like palatable, and we understand. Now, Chanel gives the reasons that, oh, okay, inflation, the pandemic, labor costs, material costs. Now, that is only, to me, this is my opinion, guys, just a very, very, very small part to the price increases. Chanel can charge all these prices because we keep buying them. And that's why I'm saying I'm not shocked. If you look at these figures over the last 3 years, they have kept doing price increases. During the height of the pandemic in 2021, they had 3 price increases. And a lot of people thought that was really tone deaf. But regardless, every time there's a price increase, every time we get upset, but we still keep on buying. So I'm not shocked, because I knew Chanel was going to have a price increase. Did I think it was going to be as steep as this? Maybe, maybe not, but they're going to keep on doing it. So I guess the question is, what are we going to do about it? Like I tongue-in-cheek said in my November 2021 video, wouldn't it be funny if all of us just like stop buying Chanel? Like, I know for me, even though I have stopped buying Chanel from the boutique, that doesn't mean I haven't stopped buying Chanel at all. So even for me, it's not like I haven't bought Chanel. I've still bought it Preloved. I've still bought a couple. Like when I was in Seoul, I bought one of their seasonal bags. So it's not like I don't buy Chanel. But yes, even me as a consumer, I am giving Chanel more power, because let's face it, when I go through the figures of some of the other bags, because a lot of people focus just on the classic flaps, but I've got some figures on other popular styles as well. The percentage increases are not as much. And that's because the classic flap is the most desirable. It's also the most well-known. All luxury bags are marked up, okay? We know that we are paying overpriced. It doesn't matter what designer, we are paying a markup for these designer items, these designer bags. But the true cost of making the bag, yeah, Chanel has marked up a lot. And we are to blame for this too. And I'm not saying I'm not upset about it, but I'm just saying if people complain, but then keep on going to buy, Chanel's just going to keep on doing this. And so don't be surprised when the jumbo is $20,000. I mean, it's $17,000 now already. So I'm not going to be surprised if it hits $20,000. And the only way really to slow down these increases or even to stop them is if we stop buying. But is that going to happen? Probably unrealistic. Also, the discussion has been, a lot of people will be saying, oh, Chanel is just really catering to the wealthy. Like they only want the wealthy to buy it. Yes, the wealthy, these price increases maybe doesn't affect them that much, but still a lot of people that are not like super wealthy, super rich, they still buy Chanel because of the status, of the desirability. Chanel is very, very desired. And, let's face it, it is a very recognizable bag. The CC logo is one of the most recognized labels. So people also buy because of the status and the prestige. So one of my subscribers was saying to me, Mel, it's all good that people are all upset because people that have bought Chanel, like for a long time, like myself included, you're like, oh, I bought a classic flap and it only cost me $5,000 a few years ago. And now it's like triple the price. And, I'm all shocked. The thing is that a lot of people back then maybe couldn't afford it. And so when they're coming into the market now and you're seeing, a small classic flat priced at 15,000 Australian dollars, they may be priced out, or they may have to save longer for the bag. The thing is that people do want the bag, and that's why they can charge that amount. So I don't see them stopping. I mean, Chanel has verbally stated that they are going to have 2 price increases a year. So let's expect this discussion again, maybe in October, November. So I don't know, guys. I would love to hear your thoughts. What are you going to do about it? Have you stopped buying Chanel, or are you looking at the pre-loved market? The thing is that Chanel retail prices drive the pre-loved market prices. Like, you've seen pre-loved Chanel prices also go up. You've also seen a lot of businesses like consignment stores or resellers or personal shoppers gaining from the Chanel price increases. And then because Chanel's strategy of having limit on bags, and that they're only giving their bags to their VIPs, or you need to buy ready to wear or whatever to get the bags, it's making the process harder just for the general, luxe lovers that want to own a Chanel bag. I understand the frustration, but also everyone that is buying Chanel, we're contributing to this. We're contributing to the resellers making a lot of money, or the personal shoppers, because we can't get the bag, so we have to buy it at a premium. So all of this goes hand in hand with each other. So I don't know what the solution is, but you know what? I did a video, this is way back in 2016. Did you know that on the small classic flap, there was one year that they even decreased the price on this? Like in 2016, no one wanted the small classic flap. Like, I owned it, and I was surprised when they didn't have a huge reduction, but it was actually reduced one time. I mean, I know, right? Chanel having a price decrease. This particular size was not desired, and it was reduced by $300 or $400. So it just goes to show, if, for example, all of us did stop buying, I'm not saying don't buy from Chanel, all of us stopped buying, would Chanel be able to keep on increasing prices to this extent? I'm not sure, because the demand wouldn't be there, the desirability wouldn't be there. But I have to hand it to Chanel. They've changed their strategy a bit more. I'm not happy about it. You guys know how I feel about Chanel. It's not just about the quality. I don't particularly like some of the customer service, but I still love Chanel products. That's why I've bought Preloved. But it won't stop. And yeah, I just wanted to open up this discussion to you and be really honest and frank about my thoughts on this. So those are the classic flaps, which I know is the most popular. Okay, let's move on to a couple of other really popular styles. The first one being the Chanel 19. Now, I don't own a Chanel 19. I have tried one on before, and I do really like it. I'm not saying I won't get it, but even with the new prices, I'm thinking whether I should or not. But anyway, I don't own this bag, but let's move to the table. I will put a picture up as well. But this also generally across the board saw a very high increase. So in terms of the old and versus new prices, again, I'll just read out USD and AUD, but for the other countries, please screenshot this. For the old prices in the Chanel 19 small, it used to be 5,700 USD, and now it is 6,400 USD, so 12.3% increase. The large, 6,300 USD, and now 7,100, so again, over 12% increase. And then the maxi was 6,900 USD, and now it is 7,700 USD before tax. So for Australians, the price that I'm quoting, the old, was in November. It's funny how Chanel in different regions also increase prices at different times. I'm not sure why. Sometimes I'm just thinking it could be the dollar fluctuation, so maybe it could be that. But anyway, the Chanel 19 small in Australian dollars was 9,090. And now it is 9,880, so almost 10,000 for the small size. The large used to be 9,980, and now it is 10,850 Australian dollars. And then the maxi was 10,940, and now it is 11,910, so almost $12,000. So again, if you look at my table over 12 months, you can see that USD, Australia, Singapore, we saw increases from about 10 to 18%, because there's price increases at different times. But definitely you can see the same pattern in the EU and UK. The percentage price increases was a lot more hefty, from about 17 to 23% depending on the sizes. So that's over 12 months, because if you look at the old versus new, you're like, oh, okay, maybe not as bad as a classic flap, but if you look at the 12 months figure, it is actually quite substantial as well. And then let's move on to the boy bag. A lot of people didn't cover the boy, but the boy again is A very, very popular style. I own the boy bag in the medium size only, the old medium. So the boy bag in the small used to be 5,400 and now it is 6,100. The medium, the old medium size, which is this exact one, used to be 5,900 USD and now it is 6,600. And then the larger one, the boy bag large, was 6,200 USD and now it is 7,000, the bigger size of this, 7,000 USD. So for Australians, the small boy used to be 8,770 and now it is 9,310. The boy bag medium 9,490, now it's 10,290. The larger size used to be 9,980 and now it is 10,850, so almost 11,000 Australian dollars. So if you look at the percentages across the board, the old versus the new March 2023 price, we can see an increase of approximately like 6 to over 13%. Now, I don't have the old Singapore prices for the boy bags back in August 2022. So for all my Singaporean followers, if you bought a boy bag and you know the old prices, do let me know. I know a lot of people don't cover Singapore, but a lot of my followers are from Singapore, so I wanted to include that as well. So do let me know so I can fill in my table for next time. But again, if we look over 12 months, so exactly March 2023 compared to March 2022, you can see that the percentage increase for both the Chanel 19 range and the boy range from anywhere from about 12 to like 23%. Again, in Europe and UK being higher percentages than in the US, Australia, or Singapore. But then if you go to my little chart where I tracked it over less than 3 years, it is substantial too. So here are some of the old prices. So not even 3 years ago, in June 2020, you can see what the prices used to be and now what the prices are. The percentage increase across all the Chanel 19 and across all the boy range being around 21 to 36% increase in the Chanel 19 range, and in the boy range it's very similar as well. But I guess that one people haven't complained about as much because they're in the 20 to 30s and not like, as I showed you with the classic flaps, some even going up to 70% increase in less than 3 years. How is everyone going? I know this video has a lot of facts and figures, but as I said, I wanted to have all the tables. So this is like a reference video for you to look back and you can actually see how much. And then, you know, a couple of years from now, let's look back at this video and say, oh my gosh, you know, the classic flap small used to only be 15. Now it's like 20. It's no laughing matter. But the thing is that, as I keep on harping on, it's not going to stop unless us as consumers do something about it. And let's be realistic. Are we really going to do something about it, or are we feeding this vicious cycle? Another bag I want to cover is the Trendy CC, because this is a very, very popular style. I don't have as much detailed figures in here, so my table is a little bit empty, so I need your help to fill it in. But for the old versus new prices in USD, this old price used to be 6,100 USD, and now the new price as of March this year is 6,900 USD. Now, Australia and Singapore, I actually don't know the price back in 2022. There was a price increase in August 2022, but like I said, for Australia, it was in November. So for any Australians or Singaporeans that know the old price, let me know and I'll fill the table in. But I do have the figures from 2 years ago that I have a complete table of, which I still wanted to show you. So in less than 2 years, the Trendy CC, this is the 25 centimeter size, so in the small, you can see how much it has increased. It has increased from about 23% to 35%. Again, you're seeing a pattern here. In Europe and in the UK, the percentage increase is a lot more hefty because of price harmonization. There was a time you could go to Europe, definitely, and in the UK, and you buy Chanel and you can save a couple of thousand. But now if you were to go to there and buy any of these styles, whether it's the boy, the trendy, whatever it may be, you won't find the price difference to be that much. So Chanel has achieved its goal that way. I thought it was very interesting just to cover the trendy because not everyone has, but again, you can see that it has increased a lot in less than 2 years. Okay, and then finally, let's go through another really popular style, which are all the minis. So let's start off with the square mini. So the old price in USD was 4,200 and now it is 4,700 USD. In Australian, it used to be 6,680 and then as of March, it is 7,290. For the rest, Singapore, EU, UK, you can have a look at the differences yourself. But in terms of old versus new increase, it looks like, oh yeah, this one is not as much because the percentage increases are only like from 8 to 12%. But if you look at it over 12 months and do March 2022 versus March 2023, this is where you can see the difference. And again, you can see the US, there wasn't a price difference because they kept their price the same over a year. But definitely in Europe and UK, that is where you see the price harmonization and the percentages are a lot higher. And that's why you can see in the UK, there was a 24.1% increase over 12 months for the square. And then the mini rectangle, similar again to the square, USD was 4,400 and now it is 4,900. Australian used to be 7,000, now it is 7,610 and so forth in terms of the other countries. Same thing as what I said with the square, the percentage increases are not as much, but over the 12 months, you can see that, especially in Europe and in the UK, it's like, 18 to 23% increase over 12 months. And then I also wanted to cover the mini rectangle with the top handle because this has been super, super popular. And so if you look at the price in USD used to be 4,800. Now it is 5,400. In Australian, it was 7,640 and now it is $8,340. And then the percentage increases over the last 12 months was between 12 and 24%, with UK being the most, the mini top handle, and Singapore being the least. My one is the caviar version, which the first season they had, so I'm very lucky to have it because now they only make it in lambskin. So on that, if we do the comparison from 3 years ago, you can see the mini square and the mini rectangle. Now I don't have the Singapore one from May, June 2020. So Singaporean followers, if you know that, please let me know what the mini square flap used to cost. But the percentage increases would be very, very similar. You can see for both the square and the rectangle mini that the price over less than 3 years is really substantial as well. You can see across the board it is between 22% up to like 35% in Europe. Now for the mini rectangle, obviously I don't have 3 years because this only came out in 2021, but I do have 2 years. So just for this, the NA means it wasn't released yet. So this one has increased, not as much in the US, especially from 2 years ago. It was 12.5% increase in the US, but in Australia and Europe and UK, you can see that it's increased like over 25%, which is quite a lot as well for that. And then finally, let's talk about the wok. Now, I don't own the classic wok. I used to, but it is a very, very popular style. So the old price in USD used to be 2,950 and now it is 3,350 USD. In Australian dollars, it was 4,750 and now the wok is 5,180 Australian dollars. So old versus new, you can see the percentages about 8 to 13.6%. So I also do have the figures from 3 years ago from the wok. So you can see it has increased quite a lot from May, June 2020. So if you look at the percentage increase over 3 years, you can see it goes from about 20 to about 36%. Again, Europe and UK, 30-something% increase. Across the board, I think in summary, you can say all the price increases have been over 30%, but definitely with the classic flap range, the small and the medium especially saw huge increases of over 60, even some nearly 70%. So guys, I hope you found that really interesting and then sort of my commentary in between. As I said, I'm not surprised because Chanel has been doing this the last 3 years. They've been having multiple price increases every year. Will I stop buying Chanel? Well, I haven't bought new classic flaps from the boutique, or I even haven't walked into a boutique in over 4 years. But for me, I never say never. I will continue to buy pre-loved and vintage, even though the prices are higher, but you still can save thousands of dollars. But really, it's up to you. I'm not saying don't buy, but all of us obviously need to think twice about if we do really want to buy a new classic flap from the boutique, because it is so much more. The decline in quality hasn't really helped in terms of their price increase. It doesn't really matter if we keep complaining, because Chanel's going to just keep increasing their prices. And really, they have the power to, because I guess me included, we're all kind of Chanel suckers and we keep on buying. So what about you? Please open the discussion. Let's share. It's a safe place to share our opinion. But at the end of the day, I don't think this is going to stop. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this long video. I hope you found it informative. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye guys.